So I did some research on a crystal I bought off eBay. It's like eBay Backpage, something like this, you know. And I bought the crystal basically. I received it and I did some tests and I was a little irritated, but it took me like 24 hours to get a feel of it and understand really what I'm dealing with. And yeah, I contacted a doctor, a Harvard doctor that has over 60 years experience in gemology. I think his name is Dr. Joel Aram. Let's take a look at it. Dr. Joel Aram has more than 60 years of experience in the world of gems and minerals. After obtaining his PhD in mineralogy from Harvard University, he has published numerous books that are still among the most widely used references and guidebooks on crystals, gems, and minerals in the world. So I thought, man, this is it. You know, if he answers me, I have all the answers. So I told him basically that, you know, peridot comes in bigger sizes usually, you know, that peridot can occur in bigger sizes. And where he answered me, well, I don't think this is peridot. And then I asked him what it is, and he told me it's glass. And at this point, I was speechless. And I had a whole different view now about mineralogy, you know. I mean, it's a doctor. It's very easy to see that this is not glass, just from the overall structure of the rough, you know. Glass is an amorphous substance. Amorphous means it doesn't have a crystal structure, so it cannot shape in cubes and octahedrons. It can't do it. So for me, that was mind-blowing. Like, I was kind of like, bro, I don't know what to say. Well, fortunately, they have been geniuses on this planet that looked at this from a different perspective. And of course, one of those created these conductivity meters that allow us to detect the conductivity of a material, which is just genius. I mean, it's the simplest way to separate gemstones by their conductivity. It's amazing. And of course, I tested it, but it tested like a sapphire or a spinel, not even a spinel, like a sapphire or a diamond even. And that's when I was like, what is this? So apparently there is a list on the internet. One of the creators of these meters, I think, created a list also. And I thought it was peridot because the color of it is a perfect peridot color, right? But there stood on the diamond, there was another category, I think it was very close to diamond, and then Periclase, they wrote. And I was like, I wasn't even aware of peridot at this point. I was just reading Periclase, clicked on it, researched it, and I found out that this material which I own, which is right here, is actually Periclase. It is one of those crystals. And there's a long story behind this. A short, long story. You can make the story very long. But basically, it's a synthetic crystal that is very rare and was only seen once in the gem trade in 2018, I think. And that's about that. And it's almost as conductive as a diamond. It's magnesium oxide, actually, and very heat resistant also, okay? No, the other version of this is used for furnaces because it's so heat resistant. But that's about that. It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, so I basically took some photos of the interesting inclusions of the specimen. And it was a very interesting inclusion. There were very interesting inclusions inside of rectangular, very angled crystals, actually. So it's not the average synthetic, like a vinyl synthetic. It goes more into the direction of a flux synthetic, which is a much more sophisticated synthetic than a vinyl. A vinyl takes a couple hours to grow. Flux takes a month to grow, you know. I don't know how they grow this, like I said, it's a very mystique item that I own now. You know, it's an interesting specimen. But I found out through this that it's Periclase actually. It's a conductivity meter, your average diamond tester, but a much better version of it, in my opinion. Take this specimen, wait on it to heat up, and once it's ready, we are able to fool the public that this is a green diamond. Basically. So dope, yeah. It's very conductive. The third most conductive substance on this planet. And yeah, it's UV reactive also, you know. I thought it was fluoride. At a certain point in the beginning, I thought it's fluoride because it has these cubes in it. You know, it has very interesting cube growth structures. It grows, it looks like little cubes on top of this, you know. But it's clearly not glass, bro. Glass doesn't grow like this, okay? I don't need to be a Harvard PhD student to know that this is impossible to be glass, okay? It's very interesting. But regardless of that, it shows you once again that the name, the big name, you know, you obtain or whatever, in the end, what does it matter? You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. The people that are remembered and recognized are the people that reinvented, the people that have been capable of helping others, also contribute to society and help others to learn. Those are the people that are remembered, not the people that have PhDs and doctors and professor titles. You know, what's so amazing about that? If vinyl, for instance, just the name, like, people will remember that name for forever. They will remember that name, which is the second name of the man who invented that process. So, or let's say a flux synthetic. What was the name? There's an American chemist. His son is still living, I think. He did the first flux rubies and flux sapphires, I think. Chatham? Yeah, I think his name is Chatham. Chatham flux synthetics, yeah. So that's what I think of doctors and professor names and all these certifications, stuff like this. I mean, it's like, that doesn't give me anything. What gives me something is the people that are revolutionary. The internet is revolutionary. You know, compare your doctor title, even your professor title to the inventors and establishers of the internet. This is nothing. Think about what the internet did for the world. Of course, it also did negative, but let's focus on the positive possibilities. Like, who am I? I learned all of this through the internet. All of this. You know, I have more understanding of this stuff than most old school gemologists. And I don't want to sound cocky, but I do have all the data. It's all about how much data you can obtain. How much inclusions can you observe? How much data of, let's say, conductivity. You just need that one list of conductivity, for instance, and you already have a large section of understanding. For instance, it gives you the opportunity to separate gemstones from their conductivity. You can take that into consideration. Conductivity, visual observations, XRF spectroscopy, then laser spectroscopy or UV spectroscopy. You can go in any direction. In the end of the day, it's the internet that creates geniuses in the end, you know, because it allows us to learn on a much higher level than any PhD or doctor or professor, you know. They are simply able to do things in a different way. They are doing spectroscopy, for instance, with machines that are super expensive, like a Raman spectroscope, you know, super expensive. And they have a database already on gemstones, and they scan it, and then they probably AI already tells them what it is. Okay, there's nothing great about this. People need to understand, like, it's a big facade. It's like the jewelry game itself. It's not about knowledge, it's not about this and that. It's just about what machines do you use. In the end of the day, these people that have these machines will be more stupid than the people that just have a microscope. Because if you just have a microscope, you have to rely on your brain, man. You have to rely on what you remember, what your stomach feeling tells you about these inclusions. You know, that's what a real amazing gemologist makes a gemologist in the end of the day. You know, if you are looking at minerals, just photos, you know, if you look at photos, you should be able to tell at least that it's not glass, for instance, you know. And for me, that was just like, I'm done with this, man. I'm done with this, you know, like, I can make a video now. You know, I bought a $100 piece of glass on eBay, and the doctor told me, you know, and that's the sad thing about it, because people that don't have that self-esteem and the knowledge behind it that backs it up, they will believe it. They will say, "Oh, the Harvard doctor, it's glass. I throw it away." Well, if you throw it away, you threw away one of the rarest synthetic minerals in the world, which is periclase.
If you want to learn about gemstones, where do you go, right? The Gem Expert, of course.